everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge Hub. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग जो क्लास करने वाले हैं वो साइबर सिक्योरिटी की क्लास करने वाले हैं, जो कि क्लास नंबर 6 है। आज की क्लास में जो हम स्टार्ट करेंगे वो यूनिट 3 करेंगे, दैट इज़ द डेवलपिंग सिक्योर इन्फॉर्मेशन एंड सिस्टम। जिससे कि लास्ट क्लास की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो हमने यूनिट 1 एंड यूनिट 2 ऑलरेडी कंप्लीट कर लिया है, एंड इन द यूनिट 3 दैट इज़ डेवलपिंग सिक्योर इन्फॉर्मेशन सिस्टम, दैट व्हाट वी हैव टू स्टार्ट हियर. And in this that is also an important unit as in the reference to the cyber security and in the reference to the even though the knowledge of the cyber security as well. And first of all, it's a huge request to all of you that who are watching these videos, you can just gone through with the subscribe button. अगर आप हमारे चैनल फर्स्ट टाइम देख रहे हो या अभी तक आपने हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट कि आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो, सो दैट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग के पास वीडियो पहुँचे, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसका यूटिलाइजेशन भी कर सकें. In the terms of unit that 3, that is developing the secure information and system, here we'll start with this, and that is the steps in to the developing secure information system. Here in this, the steps in to developing the secure information system, in reference to that, there are the various steps for incorporating the security into all phases of developing secure information system, from initiations to the disposal, and each of these phases includes a minimum set of the security steps needed to effectively incorporate security into the system during its development. Here the first phase we have is your initiation phase. In this the categorization has been done, that initiation phase में पहला आपका security categorization होता है, preliminary risk assessment होता है, and that we have here in the initiation phase. That first is the security categorization. Here that it defines 3 levels, that is low, moderate and a high, that is depend on the organization or the individual. Here in that case that these 3 level assist organization in making an appropriate selection of the security control for their information system as well. Now we'll talk about the another one, and that is the acquisition development phase. In the acquisition development phase, if I'm referring to it, in the reference to the acquisition development phase here, and in this the first for the security categorization, after that preliminary risk assessment is also there, and in that that it will be defined the threat environment in which the system will operate. Now we'll discuss about the acquisition and the development phase. Here that is the risk assessment, security fundamental requirements analysis, security assurance requirement analysis, cost considerations and reporting, security planning, that what all comes security control development, as well as the development security test and the evaluations and other planning component as well. These work comes under the acquisition and the development plane phase here. In this, the first is your risk assessment, that is that identifies the protections requirement for the system. The second is that the security functional requirement analysis in acquisition development phase, that analysis of the requirements, like the first is that the system security environment, and the second is the security functional environment requirement. The third acquisition development phase is security assurance and requirement analysis. Here the analysis of the requirement that addresses the development activities required and assurance evidence needed to produce a desired level of confidence that the information security will work correctly and effectively. Here the fourth we have is the cost considerations and reporting. There that determines how much of the development cost can be attributed to the information security over the life cycle of the system, and these costs includes the hardware, software, personnel and training as well. The fifth we have is the security planning, that ensures the agreed upon the security controls planned or in a place as a fully that is documented. The security plan also provides the complete characteristics and the descriptions of the information system, as well as the attachments or the references to the key documents supporting the agency's information security program. The next is in this the acquisition development phase we have is your security control development, that ensures that the security controls describes in the respective to the security plan and are designed, developed and implemented. The next is your development security test and evaluation, that ensures that the security controls developed for a new information systems are working properly and effectively, and some types of security controls cannot be tested and evaluated under the information system is deployed. These controls are typically managed and operational control here. In the acquisition development phase, the another one is the last one is that other planning components, like ensures that all the necessary components of the development process are considered when incorporating the security into the life cycle, And these components includes the selections of appropriate contract type, participation by all the necessary functional group within an organization, participation by the certifier and accredit or the development and execution of the necessary contracting plans and process as well. Now talking about the third one, that is your implementation phase. In the implementation phase here, that is the inspections and acceptance, security control integration, security certification, security accreditation as well. In the first one, the implementation phase में पहला आता है आपका inspections and acceptance. Exception and acceptance that ensures that the organization validates and verifies the functionality described in the specialization is included in the deliverables. The second is the security control integration, where ensures that security controls are integrated at the operational side where the information system is to be deployed for operation. Third is the security certification, here that ensures that the controls are effectively implemented through the established verification techniques and procedure and gives the organizational officials confidence that the appropriate safeguard and the countermeasures are in the place to protect the organization's information system. The last in the implementation phase is the security accreditation. In the accreditation that provides the necessary security authority authorizations of an information system to process, store or transmit information that is required, and this authorization is granted by the senior organizations officials and is based on the verified effectiveness of the security control to the sum agreed upon level of the assurance and an identified residual risk to the agency assets or the operations as well. Now we'll discuss about the operations and maintenance phase. In the operations and maintenance phase, the first is your configuration management and control. With regard of it, that ensures the adequate considerations of the potential security impact due to the specific changes to an information system or its surrounding environment. The second is the continuous monitoring that ensures that the control continue to be affected in their application through the periodic testing and evaluation here. Then we have another one, and that is comes under the operations and the maintenance phase as well. In regard of it, these were the categorization under these particular steps that is to developing the secure information here. The next phase we have is disposition phase. In this, that the information preservation and the media sanitization, and of course the hardware and the software disposal. In the information preservation, that ensures that the information is retained as necessary to conform to the current legal requirements and to accommodate future technology changes that may render the retrieval method obsolete. And that the second is your media sanitization, that is ensures that the data is deleted, erased or written over as necessary. The third is the hardware and the software disposal here, that ensures that the disposals of the hardware and the software is done as directed by the information system security officers. Now we'll discuss about the applications applications development security. In the application development security, before starting with that, you have to understood what is application security, why is application security is important. Then we'll discuss about the application development security in detail. Here with regard of the application security, important that new threats emerges every day here, and for some of the hackers are not satisfied with the penetrating your network. They seek information that resides into your application or database, and applications are often plagued by a poor design, software bugs and the poor programming practices. Application may be a fast and easy entry point into a secure network, as well as the requirement, the important is that that the application contain and process your most critical or important and sensitive information. Like programming logic may cause a vulnerability just as troublesome as difficulties inherent with the certain technologies as well. Detail will go in detail, that is application development and security. That is the recent research finding indicates that the application layer is one of the highest risk area and where the most potential damage can occur, either through the insider targets or lack of the protection. As a result, the confidential company information can be exposed, resulting in the harm to a company, its customer and its reputation. The software industry is making a headway in this area, with some providers offering incentives in the development team to integrate the security during the application development process as well. In this, that integrating the security into the application development lifecycle is not an all or nothing decision, but rather than a process of negotiations within policy, that is risk and the development requirements, and engaging the security teams like in-house or outsource. and during the definition stage of the application development that determines the security areas that is necessary to satisfy the policy and the risk tolerance in the context of the organization. The area are broken out as shown below. Like the first we have is your initial review. In the initial review, the first step in the initial review, which will allow the security team to assess initial risk. The first is the purpose of the application in the context of its user and its market. The second is its technical environment in terms of the application development and the deployment policies drivers like regularity and the risk as well. The third is the processes and procedures. The fourth is the business continuity requirements for the application availability as well. The next we have is a definition phase, that is a threat modeling. In the definition phase, that is the threat modeling. The threat modeling is a practice of working with the developers to identify the critical area of application that dealing with the sensitive information that requires the added security attention as well. Once the application is modeled and the critical areas are entry point are identified, security team should work with the developers to create the mitigation strategies for the potential vulnerabilities, and these thread modeling should be created early in the development life cycle of the every project to achieve a secure foundation while using the resource efficiently here. This process should be followed throughout the development process as the application evolves its complexity. The third we have is your that is the design phase, that is the design review here. In the design phase and the design review, an important step in identifying the potential security risk at the early development stage, it is important that the review is conducted by the independent and the objective moderator who is separate from the development team, and this process involves reviewing applications document and interviewing the developers and the application owners as well, and that reviews are held at each stage of the development process. The fourth we have that we can say that the development phase, that is the code review. In the development phase, the code review, that during this phase the development and the coding system that take place here, in regard of it, that as a module and the phase are completed, once the unit testing for each is finished, security testing against the unit should be conducted throughout the development process. This during this phase the focus is shift to the hardware and the network environment, that ensuring the segments and the trust relationships are appropriate and servers are hardened at the operating system level, and the application software is configured and administrated securely as well. The next one we have is your fifth one, that is the deployment phase, that is the risk assessment. In this, while security reviews has been conducted throughout the cycle, at this point a risk assessment done prior to the development in the step that is towards to the benchmarking the live application. One risk has been benchmarked for the go live application, and a strategy for the mitigation of any risk can be put into the place as well. The next sixth we have is a risk mitigation here. In this, that it involves the prioritizing, the evaluating and the implementing the control that the security team identifies as necessary to mitigate the vulnerabilities discovered during the risk assessment stage. And in the risk mitigation, the least costly approach to implementing the most appropriate control to reduce the risk to the organization is advisable. And for example, that risk can be assumed or reduced to an acceptable level. A risk can be avoided by removing the cause, and the risk can be transferred by using the other options that compensate such purchasing insurance as well. The next we have is your benchmark here. The seventh is your benchmark. The next step is to the benchmark the resulting application against the industry standards to deliver the security scorecard. This allows executives to determine whether the security recreations efforts are in line with industry averages and where there are gaps to improve. Many phases can be benchmarked and with correspond to one or the more of the security criteria that is relevant to the organization. These include, that is your NIST here, NIST-SP, that is 830 guidelines, and Open Web Application Security Project, that is OWASP guideline, BS 7799 guideline, the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, the Health Insurance Portability and the Accountability Act, that is HIPAA, and the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and the California SB 1386 Act. The next is your maintenance phase, that is the maintain. In order to maintain the strong security postures established, it's important to consider employing the periodic security checks of all the critical application and the contracts here controls, and that securing an application is adequate, and for that the moment in time but new risks are introduced every day that could affect its security here, that you can. So here we'll go ahead with the while network security is one layer of the defense and the protections, critical system and the sensitive information are still vulnerable to the software application flows, that insider breaches and inadequate protections with the real world testing across the large enterprises and multiple industries. Serious flaws are often found in the most software, both a custom and the popular third-party application. As such, it is critical for the companies to integrate the security in the application development lifecycle to ensure the applications are properly protected against the external and the internal threats as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your the information security governance here. Here we'll go ahead with the information security governance. With regard of the information security governance here, first you have to know about it, and that they can ask you about what do you understand by the term information security governance and the risk management. In terms of the information security governance, the information security governance is about how management views security and how the security organization is structured, who the information security officers, that is ISO, reports to, and some basics guiding principles for the security as well. First and foremost, the information security is not just about the IT only, that the fundamental principle of the security revolve around the CIA triad as well, as that is you can say that that is the confidentiality, integrity, and as well as availability as well. And in regard of it, that the availability, if I'm talking about the availability here, that availability is the sense that the data is available when needed, and integrity is the sense that the data is accurate and has not been that modified. And finally, confidentiality is that the sense that deals with the confidentiality only the people who are authorized to access these data access here. And with reference to the CIA here, in the terms of the CIA, that is the confidentiality, integrity, and the of course the availability here, this is directly related to the DAD here. And in terms of DAD here, if I'm talking about, that is a disclosure, alteration, and destructions for information, as a confidentiality mean that the data has not been disclosed, and integrity means that the data has been altered, and the availability means that the data is there, that the data is there and has not been destroyed as well. In the terms of the risk management, when we are talking about in the risk management here, that in the information of the risk, first you have to understood about the risk management. In the information risk management, there are the several concepts of Q versus Q, and Q or quantitative versus you can say that the quantitative risk assessment. In the quantitative risk analysis use and hard metrics such as dollars, and qualitative risk analysis uses sample approximate values, and the quantitative is more objective and qualitative is more subjective here. In regard of it, if I'm talking about that, after the risk analysis, the risk management process will start, which include the system characterizations that we have, and the second is your threat identification. In the system characterization describes the scope of the risk management efforts and the system that will be analyzed. The threat identification here, the threat identification and the vulnerability identification identify the threat and the vulnerables required to the identify disk that is using. In the terms of this threat, we can say that here, that is the risk equals to threat multiply vulnerabilities. That is the formula to find out the risk: threat multiply vulnerability. You can find out the risk what it occurs at. And the third next we have is your vulnerability, vulnerability identification. And the fourth we have is the control as analysis. And in the control analysis, that controls the analysis, the security control, that is your safeguards that are in the place to be planned or planned to mitigate a risk. The next we have is your that is your likelihood determinations here. And then we have here that is your input analysis. Then we have risk determinations, and then after that we have here control recommendations and the results documentation as well. Let's go ahead with another one, that is the key attributes of the security architecture. In the reference to the key attribute of the security architecture, we have to first know about the security architecture in the detail. And in the security architecture is a unified security design that addresses the necessity and the potential risk involved in the certain scenario or the environment. It also specifies when and where to be applied the security control, and the design process is generally reproducible. And in the security architecture, the design principles are reported clearly and in depth. Security control specifications are generally documented in the independent document. That is, the system architecture can be considered a design that includes the structures and the addresses, the connections between the components of the structure here. In regard of it, if I'm talking about the key attributes of the security architecture are as follows. The first we have is the relationship and dependencies, the second is benefit, third is form, and the fourth is drivers. In the relationship and the dependencies, that signifies the relationship between the various components inside the IT architecture and the way in which they depend on each other. The second we have benefits here. The main advantages of the security architecture is its standardization, which makes it affordable, and security architecture is a cost effective due to the reuse of the control described in the architecture as well. The third next we have is a form, and the form that security architecture is associated with its IT architecture. However, it may take a variety of the forms. It generally includes a catalog of the conventional control in addition to the relationship diagram and principles and so on as well. The next we have is your drivers. The security controls are determined based on the four factors, that is your risk management. The second is your benchmarking and the good practice. The third one we have financial, and the fourth one we have is legal and regulatory here. Now we discussed about the key phases of for the security architecture process here. As you can see here, that the key phases for the security architectures process as well, that the key phases in the security architecture process are as follows. That we have is your that is your architecture risk assessment. The second is your security architecture and design, third is implementation, and the fourth is operations and monitoring. In the architecture risk assessment here, that evaluates the business influences of the vital business assets and the odds and effects of the vulnerabilities and the security threat as well. In the security architecture and design, and that is the design and the architecture of the security services, which facilitate a business risk exposure objectives as well. In the terms of the third one, that we have your implementation here, that security services and the process are implemented, operated and controlled, and assurance services are designed to ensure that that the security policies are and standards and security architecture decisions and the risk management are that is mirrored in the real runtime implementation. The fourth we have is your operations and monitoring. In this, that day-to-day processes such as the threat and the that is the vulnerabilities management and the threat management. Here the measures are taken to supervise and handle to the operational state, in addition to the depth and the breadth of the system security. Now we'll discuss about the some detail about the design, that we have the data storage, that is in terms of the data storage. But before that, we have to understood about that is related to the design security issues in hardware, that is comes under the security issues as well. In that, we can go ahead. So here we'll talk about some of the like design security issues in the hardware. In reference to that, the hardware that portions of the system are subject to functions that can result directly in a leak of or that of cause of a failure, and the security protections mechanism elsewhere in the system, and including inducing software that is your malfunction as well. In this, that in addition of the properly operating system equipment is susceptible to being tapped or otherwise exploited here. In regard of it, the types of the failure that most directly affect the security include like malfunctioning of the circuits, for such protections as bonds register, that memory and the read write protect privileged made mode operation or a priority interrupt as well. Any hardware failure potentially can affect security control, like example, a single bit error in memory. Both the active and the passive penetrations techniques can be used against the hardware leakage point. In the passive mode, the that is the intervener or may attempt to monitor the system by tapping into the communication lines, or by monitoring the compromising the emanations, and wholly isolated system that can be physically shielded to eliminate the emanations beyond the limit of the secure installation. But with a geographical dispersed system, comprehensively shielding is more difficult and expensive, and currently only the practical solutions are those used to protect the that communication system as well. The problem of the emanations security is covered by the existing regulating. There are no new aspects to this problem raised by the modern computing system. It should be emphasized, however, that control of the spurious emanations must be applied not only to the main computing centers, but to the remote equipment as well. In the regard of it, that although the difficult to accomplish, the possibility exists that converts monitoring devices that can be installed within the central processor, and that the problem that the computer hardware involved is of such complexity that it is easy for the knowledgeable person to incorporate the necessary equipment in such a way that as to make the detections very difficult. Here, with regard of it, we can say that the remote consoles also present potential radiations vulnerabilities. That is, moreover, there is a possibility that the recording devices might be attacked to a console to pirate information, and other remote or a peripheral equipment can present a danger as well. Printer ribbons or the that is patents may bear the impressions that can be analyzed. Removable storage media, that is magnetic tapes and the disk packs, and even punch cards as well, that can be stolen or at least removed long enough to be copied here. Now we'll go on ahead with the detail, that is the data that is data storage that devices here. In the data storage, the first we have is in reference to the data storage, first we have to understood about the storage devices. In the storage devices, that stores the when computer is off, and that two processes. The first is your writing data, and the second is your reading data as well. In the terms of the data storage, the first is that media is a material storing data. Second is that the storage devices manage the media. Third is the magnetic devices uses a magnet. Fourth is that optical devices uses the laser, and the fifth is the solid state devices have physical switches as well. With regard of it, the first we have is your that we have is magnetic storage devices. In the magnetic storage devices, the most common form of the storage, all magnetic drives work the same, and that it comes under the data storage retrieval. Here in the media is covered with iron oxide, and read write head is a magnet. So magnet writes a charge on the media, that is positive charge is as 1 here, and with regard of it, that the negative charge is as 0, and the magnetic reads the charges, drives converts charges into binary as well. In the terms of the data organization, that disk must be formatted before use, and formatted draws a track on the disk, and the track is divided into the sectors, that is amount of the data of a drive that can read. The next we have is your finding the data on the disk. Here in the each track and the sector is labeled. Some are reserved, and listing of where files are stored, and files allocations table like FAT, we can say that here, and that is FAT32 and NTFS as well. So FAT 32, and of course the NT FS, and the data is organized in the cluster as well. The size of the data the OS handles as well. Now we'll go ahead with another one, and that is your diskettes here. Diskettes here, that is also known as the floppy disk as well, and that read with a disk drive and a spin at 300 rpm as well. Take 2 second, that 0.2 second to find data, and a 3 by half of floppy disk holds 1.44 MB as well. In the terms of the hard disk here, that a primary storage device is in a computer, and two or more aluminum platters. Each platter has two sides. Spins between 5400 to 15,000 here rpm, and data found in 9.5 ms or less, and drive capacity greater than 40 GB as well. The next we have is your removable high capacity disk. The speed of the hard disk, and the portability of the floppy disk as well. And in regard of it, the several variants have been emerged, and high capacity floppy disk, and that stores up to 750 MB of the data, and that hard swappable, that is a disk here, a hot swappable hard disk that provide us GB of the data and connect via USB as well. In the tape drives here, in the tape drive that best used for the infrequently accessed data backup solution as well, and that slow sequential access and capacity exceeds that is 200 GB as well. Let's go ahead with the second one, that is your optical storage device. In the optical storage device, the first is your CD-ROM. In this, that most software ships on a CD, and that read or using a laser that lands binary one, reflect data, and bits scatters data, and written from the inside out. And that is CD speed is based on the original, that is original CD is read 150 kbps, and that is A10X will read 1500 kbps, and the standard CD holds at 650 MB here. In regard of the DVD ROM, this is the second type of optical storage device, that the digital video disc use both sides of the disk. Capacities can reach 15 GB, and DVD players can read CDs as well. Next we have is your recordable optical technologies. Recordable optical technologies here, that is CD recordable here. In the CD recordable, or we can say that CDR here, that is to create a data or audio CD. Data cannot be changed and can continue adding until the that full here. The second we have here, with regard of a CD that is regrettable here, that is CDRW, and here that creates a reusable CD and cannot be read in all the CD player, and can reuse about 100 times as well. In the terms of the next, that you have a photo CD here, and the photo CD that is developed by the Kodak and provides the photo storage, and photos added in the CD will be until full, an original picture cannot be changed. In the DVD recordable here, that is the several different formats exist, and the none are standardized, and allow a home user to create the DVDs as well, and that cannot be read in a all player as well. Let's go ahead with another one, that is your DVD RAM here. Next we have a DVD here RAM as well, that DVD RAM is allowing that it allows you using of the DVD media, not standardized, and cannot be read in all the players as well. Let's go ahead with another one, that is solid state devices here, and that we have. In the terms of solid state devices here, that is the data is stored physically and no magnets or a laser, and it is very fast as well. In the terms of it, that is the first part is your flash memory of solid state devices. In the flash memory here, that files in the cameras and USB drives, and that's a combination of RAM and ROM, and long term that is updatable storage as well. And the second one is your smart cards, and smart cards, that credit cards with a chip, and chip stores data, and eventually may be used for the cash, and hotels used for the electronic key as well. The next we have is your solid state disk here. And the solid state disk, that is the large amount of SD RAM, extremely fast volatile storage, and requires a battery backup, and most have hard disk and copying the data as well. Now we talk about the physical security, that is your physical security importance here. And before learning about the importance of physical security, we have to understood about the security in deep. That what do you mean by the physical security here? Physical security is defined as the most fundamental aspects of protection. It is the use of the physical controls to protect the premises, site, facility, building, or other physical assets. The process includes the layers of physical protections measures to prevent it unauthorized personnel from accessing your property, that is office, buildings, stores, factories, etc. Physical security system can be of any of the following, like a video that comes under the camera here, and that is your that cameras, CCTV monitors and encoders as well. The second, we can say that access control that comes under the gates, sensors, doors and locks, panels, alarms and biometrics. The third, we can say that is the communication, that is WAN, LAN and phone lines. The next is your padlocks and keys. The next is your rooms and other safety areas. And the next is your security guard that comes under the physical security, about related to the physical security here. Now we'll talk about the physical security importance. In the terms of it, we have a three here, that is a protection, tracking and monitoring, and your that is archiving, and that is your record keeping here. In these, we go in detail here in the protection one, that one of the main purposes to protect your property and premises against theft, crime, and unauthorized personal and attacks. The training and monitoring here, tracking and monitoring in this, that the implementing a physical security policy for the surveillance throughout the premises help organization track and monitors the productivity and the security of the employee. For the third one, that is your archiving and the record keeping. Here, in a special cases like crime, anything that has been recorded in the CCTV can be acquired for a legal matters as well. Now we'll come under the physical security of the IT assets here. In the IT assets, we'll go on through with the that the physical security of the IT assets can be broadly categorized based on the following criteria. The first is your security of the assets location. The second is your human access control to the security room, and the third we have is your environmental control. We'll go ahead detail in it, that is for the security of the asset location here, that the location of the information asset room need to be the physical secured, and it is always a good practice not to disclose the location of the server room to public. And first of all, make sure that there should be one entry to the server room, and including one emergency exit door as well. And secondly, that the entrance of the access door should not be directly visible in the location. And the thirdly, that the before the main access doors, there should be, the another small door or space to reduce the risk of the piggybacking. And the next we have regard of the human here, that is human access control to the security room. Here, that before entering the server room, all the personal needs of the authorized and enter the room. There can be an exception to the daily maintenance team as well, and it is better to have a presence of the supervisor when maintenance work are carried on. And all the personals needs to be physically verified and must carry an identity card. That if possible implement digital access control or any biometric access control as well. The security person before the access room must be present always, and there may be a pool of the security guard who will be only the duty, so as they can familiar with the faces entering the room on the regular basis as well. And finally, they should be closed circuit cameras both in and outside of the assets room, and make sure that the access to the digital recording devices are properly monitored and logged as well. Now we'll talk about the environmental control. In the environmental control, first of all, make sure that all the equipment installed inside the server room, that is the server room, are being audited regularly. And make sure that there are at least two emergency power off switches for the server room itself, and one insider and the other one outsider of the room as well. In all the electrical wiring should be placed inside the fire resistance panel here. Now we talk about the access control here. As of access control, somewhat we have to go in detail as well. In the access control, Access control is a process to determine who does what to and that who does and what to what as well, and based on the policy. It is controlling the access of who gets in and out of the system, and who uses what resource, when and in what amount. That access control is a restricting access to the system or the system resource based on something other than the identity of the user. So we'll have a diagram of access control here. The first we have is the subject. This is a reference monitor, and this is object. This is request for operation. This is authorized request. Access control consists of four elements as well, and that is their subject, object and operations as well. And in the regard of it, a reference monitor as well, that has been done in it, and that it is and the subjects that are system users and the group of the users, while the objects are the file and the resources such as memory, printer, scanner, including the computers in the network as well. And an access operation comes in many forms of including the web access, a server access, and memory access, and a method calls as well. Whenever a subject requests to access an object, an access mode must be specified. There are access two modes. That is, first we have your observe. The second is your alter. These were the two modes. So on the case of the observe mode here, in this mode the subject may only look at a content of the object, and this mode is typically read, in which a client process may request a server to read from a file. And for the alter, in this mode the subject may change the content of the object as well. Let's go ahead with an in detail here. And that is what sort of write short notes on the class circuit television, that is CCTV surveillance, that is very important, and that you have to be very careful about when you are writing things regarding these things. So in the closed circuit television surveillance, we have to go into deep here. In the closed circuit television, that is also known as the video surveillance, is use of the video cameras to transit a signal to a specific place on a limited set of the monitors as well. And it differs from the broadcast television in that the signal is not openly transmitted, and through it may be employ point to point, that is we can say that P2P, and point to multi-point, and mesh wire less links as well. They mainly used for the surveillance in area that may need monitoring, such as banks, that is your casinos, airport, military installations, and convenience stores as well. In the industry plant, the CCTV equipment may be used to observe the parts of the process from a central control room. For example, when the environment is not suitable for the humans, and the CCTV system may operate continuously or only as required to the monitor or a particular event as well. A more advanced form of the CCTV, utilizing the digital video recorder, that is DVRs, and provides recording for the possibly many years, and with a variety of the quality and the performance options and etc. features, such as the motion detections and email alerts as well. In the case of this, the CCTV more recently decentralized IP cameras, some equipped with a megapixel sensors, support recording directly to the network attack storage devices or internal flash or completely stand-alone operation as well. That the surveillance of the public using the CCTV is particularly common in many areas around the world. In the recent years, the use of the body worn video and cameras has been introduced as a new form of the surveillance here in reference to the CCTV. Let's go ahead with the need. Okay, need of that we'll discuss about the need of CCTV, and then after that we'll discuss about the users of CCTV कि हमें requirement, हमें need क्यों पड़ी CCTV की, जो कि हम यूज़ करने लगे CCTV. आज आप ज़्यादातर कंपनीज़ में प्लस दुकानों में भी, आप किराना स्टोर्स में भी आपको CCTV लगा हुआ दिखेगा. because that is the CCTV is a closed circuit television is one part of the solution and not magic bullet for public safety and the security as well. And the second reason, that second need is that improve public perceptions of safety. The third need is that discourage and displace the antisocial behavior and crime. The fourth need is that provide usable high quality evidence, and the next need is that integrated with the environment. The next need is the consider user corporate and statutory requirements, and next is to understand constraint, mitigate and design out. And the next need is ensure support is straightforward as well. Now we'll discuss about the features to select a camera and a network selection. What were the features that were selected camera and a housing? Based upon that we have is that the area requiring coverage level of detail is in resolution, the distance from the camera to the target area, and the streetscape, environmental conditions like hot, humid and cold and icy, malicious damage, that is risk, that is appraisal threat or the true solution, whether operational use by the police or the council required, and planned system life, that is durability and upgradability as well. And why select CCTV network? Based upon and that is your need for the centralized monitoring, recording and the standalone cameras, existing the network infrastructure, that is optical fiber, copper and wireless. And the third is your ownership of the assets. This is lightning poles, power poles. And the fourth is the distance between the cameras and the recording monitoring site. And the fifth is that the potential system growth or the reorientation as well. Now we'll go ahead in the deep as well in reference to the CCTV, and then of course we'll discuss about the uses as well. And with regard of it, we'll go ahead that the list of all the uses of the CCTV here, and that is the first we have is the crime preventions. In the term of the crime preventions here, mostly that is mostly that used for the crime prevention, as an analysis that found that the surveillance systems were most effective in the parking slot, and where their use resulted in the 51% decreases in crime as well. And the public transportation area saw a 23rd% decrease in the crime as well. The second we have is your industrial process here. In the industrial process that take place under the conditions dangerous for the humans are today often surprised by the CCTV. These are mainly processes in the chemical industry and the interior of the reactors or the facility for the manufacture of nuclear fuel, especially cameras for the some of the purposes include the line scan cameras and the thermographic cameras, which allow the operator to measure the temperature of the processes as well. In the term of it, next we have discussed about the traffic monitoring. In the traffic monitoring, the many cities and the motorway network have extensive traffic monitoring system using the closed circuit television to detect the congestions and the notice accidents. Many of these cameras, however, are used owned by the private companies and they transmit data to the driver's GPS system as well. The next we have is your transport safety. In this, a CCTV system may be installed where any example or on a subway train, that is CCTV cameras may be allowed to operate to confirm the people that are clear to doors and before closing them to starting the train as well. The fifth we have is control of retail here. In the control of retail, some as software integrate with the CCTV to monitor the actions of the workers in the retail environment. Every action is recorded as an information here, block with that subtitle and explain the performed operation. This helps to track the actions of the workers, especially when they are making critical financial transactions such as collecting or cancelling of sale, withdrawing money or altering the personal information as well. The next we have use of school. In this, the CCTV may be installed in schools to monitor the visitor track, that is unacceptable students' behavior, and maintain a record of the evidence in the event of the crime. The next is criminal use, and here the criminals may use the surveillance cameras to monitor the public. For example, a hidden cameras at the ATM that can capture people pins as they are entered without their knowledge. The next we have is your home security, that companies including the ADT, LifeWatch and the Simply Safe started offering CCTV to the consumer market for home safety and security. That cameras typically come as a part of the alarm monitoring package that may also include the fire and a flood detection as well. Now we'll go ahead with the intrusion detection system and with its types as well. The intrusion detection system here, we'll talk about some of the things, and that we'll first will go ahead in detail here. In the intrusion detection system, that stands for that IDS, prepare for and deal with the attacks by collecting the information from the variety of the stored systems and the network resources, then analyzing the symptoms of the security problems. And IDS serve three essential security functions, that is to monitor, detect, and respond to unauthorized activity. An IDS can also be response automatically in the real time to a security breach event, such as logging off a user, disabling a user account, and launching of some scripts as well. Intrusion detection systems are classified based on their monitoring scope, that is, they are network based intrusion and host based intrusion, and a hybrid based intrusion that we have is your host based intrusion detection system, जिसे हम HIDS बोलते हैं. सेकेंड इज़ योर नेटवर्क बेस्ड इंट्रूजन डिटेक्शन सिस्टम, जिसे हम NIDS बोलते हैं. एंड द थर्ड इज़ योर हाइब्रिड इंट्रूजन डिटेक्शन, दैट इज़ जिसे हम HIDS बोलते हैं. Here we'll go ahead with another one, and that we will go in detail. In the host-based intrusion detection system that works in the switched network environment, and that operates in the encrypted environment as well, and that detect and collect the most relevant information in the quickest possible manner, that track behavior changes associated with the misuse and require the use of the resources of the host server, that disk space and the RAM and the CPU time as well, and that does not protect entire infrastructure. Now talk about the network-based intrusion detection, that is NIDS. NIDS uses a passive interface to capture the network packets for analyzing, and NIDS sensors placed around the globe, and that can be configured to report back to the central site, enabling a small team of the security experts to support a large enterprises as well. And in this we can say that an IDS system that scale well for the network protection, and because the number of the actual workstation servers or the user systems on the network that is not critical, and the amount of the traffic is what matters here. And most network based IDS and are operating system independent, and that provide security against the DOS attacks as well. The third we have is hybrid intrusion detection system here. Here, although the two types of the intrusion detection systems that differ significantly from each other, and but they also complement each other. Such a system can target the activity at any or all level. It is easier to see patterns of the attacks over time and across the network space, and no proven industry standards with the regards to the interoperability of the intrusion detection components as well. And the hybrid system are difficult to manage the deploy as well. Now we'll discuss about here the backup security measures here. In the terms of the backup security measures, as you can see here, in regard of it, that first of all, what you have to understand is that here are the 10 ways to ensure that the data are the backups are secure here. And in regard of it, if I'm talking about, so the first is yes, that is ensure security policies includes a backup related system within their scope. Practically every type of security policy, from the access control to the physical security to the system monitoring, that applies directly to the data backup. The second we have is your that include data backup system in the disaster recovery and the incident response plans. The data backups can be breached, compromised, and destroyed. The next is your that is your assign the backup software access right only to those who have a business need to be involved in the backup process, and be sure not to be overlooked, and a web-based interface that provides a backup access, and keep your original backup software media secured as well. The fourth is that the store backup offsets are at least in another building. The fifth is that however you choose your store your backups, be it on the tape and that network attached storage, that is NAS, on the external drives, that be sure to the control access to the rooms and the cars in the house in which the backup stores. Handles your backups handle your backup media as you would any other critical hardware as well. The sixth is your that is use of a fireproof and media rated safe, and many people store these backups in the first fireproof safe, but typically ones that are only rated for a paper storage. And backup media such as tapes, optical disc, and the magnetic drives have a lower burning and inhalting point and than paper, and a standard fireproof safe only serves to the provide a false sense of security as well. And the seventh is to find out the security measures that you vendors for the off-site storage data centers and the courier services are taken to ensure that your backups remain the safe in their hands. And the eighth is that the passwords and protects your backup at a minimum, and passwords are not a full proof because some people with the special skills and the tools may be able to crack the code, and but it is the level of the security that should be considered. The ninth is to encrypt your backups if your software and hardware support it, and encryption implemented and managed in the right way serves as an excellent last year of the defense. And the tenet is your backup are only as good as what's on the backups media. There are the two sides to this coin. That first, make sure that you're backing up everything that's important, and the second, tell that your backups occasionally, especially if you are using the tape. In regard of it, store backups offsite on the least it is another building, and assign a backup software that seems right that access right only to those who have a business need to be included in the backup process. And be sure not about that is verbal, and that not based on the interface on the provide improvement access, and keep your originals here, and original backups that should media scanned as well, and includes the data backup of the security, and that directors recovery insights of resources plan, and that data backup can be breached, compromised, or destroyed as well. So in the next before classes we had covered up the unit 1 as I told you. And in the unit 1 what we had covered up, that the introduction to the information system, types of information system, development of information system, introduction to information security, need for information security, threats to information system, information assurance, cyber security, and security risk analysis. Then we had covered up the unit 2, and that is the application security, database, email, and internet, data security consideration, backup, archival storage, and the disposal of the data, security technology, firewall, VPNs, intrusion detections, and access control. Security threats is that virus, worms, Trojan horse, bombs, trapdoors, spoofs, email, viruses, macro viruses, malicious software, network, and denial of the services attack. Security threat to e-commerce, electronic payment system, e-cash, e-credit, and a debit credit card, and digital signature, public key क्रिप्टोलॉजी. देन वी हैड कवर अप यूनिट थर्ड, जो आज की क्लास में हमने कंप्लीट कर लिया है. दैट वी हैव दैट इज डेवलपिंग द सिक्योर इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम, एप्लीकेशन डेवलपमेंट सिक्योरिटी, इंफॉर्मेशन सिक्योरिटी, governance and the risk management, security architecture and the design, security issues in the hardware, data storage and the downloadable devices, physical security of the IC assets, access control, CCTV and the intrusion detection system, and that is the backup security measures that what we had discussed here in this class. Now we'll discuss in the next coming class, that is unit 4, and that is the last unit of your this cyber security, and where that we have to discuss about the security policies, why policies should be developed, www.policies, email security policies, policies review process, corporate policies, sample security policies, publishing and notification requirements of the policies, information security standard, that is ISO, IT Act, Copyright Act, Patent Act, IPR, cyber laws in India, IT Act 2000 provisions, intellectual property law, copyright law, and software licensing, semiconductor law, and the patent law as well. So class आज के लिए इतना ही. Thank you. Hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on the comment box. Please like, share, and subscribe for my channel so that many maximum people can get the information at once. And even though you can also enjoy the video as well. Thank you.